Lucille here. There she comes. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm not late, the bells have not quite started.
That's right.
I have 901, the bell's off. But we're still okay. Still okay. You all set?
Yep.
Stop. Everything okay?
Yeah, I'm just going to, it's just coming up now, so I'm just looking to make sure we're all.
Everybody have a good weekend?
Yeah, how about you?
Yes, I did.
I got some weather that was decent, so.
It was
Yeah,
nice.
we're-
Before you I just wanted to, before we start the meeting, I just wanted to thank all three of you for giving up time out of your busy schedules to meet with us today. But I also wanted to just take a quick second and thank you for serving on the board. I think sometimes that's a thankless job. And
Sometime? No.
yeah, and well, you know, as you know, we're all guys that volunteer a lot of our time as well, so we know what it takes to add on top of trying to do your real life, and just wanted to know that we do appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's much appreciated.
Is that background too? Noise too much to make all that?
Okay. I don't know what we're doing over there. You all set, Scott?
Yeah, everything's covered. So.
All right. So it is 9:02. We will open the specially called June 12th, 2017 New Durham Board of Selectmen meeting to order. Main topic for the conversation is in our meeting is a request from the fire department for a piece of equipment that has come up as a need. We had touched on this as a discussion point, I think on the last Board of Selectmen meeting, I recall, when we asked for the ambulance update, and there was some additional work that was follow-up work that the fire department was going to do to see if they could get the proper updates that might be able to be done to provide cardiac communication to hospitals on their various units. My understanding, and I'm not going to steal any of your thunder, but my understanding is that we have a rather old piece of equipment and updates may not be available, hence the reason for today's discussion. Having said that, we'll turn it over to whoever is going to do whatever they're going to do.
That'd be me. So yes, as
This is Neil Burns, by the way, for the public.
oh, sorry. As you just stated, our current monitor, which the monitor is what we use for running 12 of these to check cardiac function. It also is what we utilize for as an AED for shocking during cardiac arrest. It does various other functions. It monitors your blood pressure, your CO2 levels, and so on and so forth. So our monitor is an older version. It recently became apparent to us due to an unfortunate set of calls that were cardiac calls that we were no longer able to transmit the data we were getting on that screen. The reason that is important is because when we have a cardiac situation, we transmit what we see in that 12 lead, so what's going on with the heart, to Frisbee Hospital. The doctor looks at it at that point, and then the doctor makes a decision, where do we take that patient? If it's not a severe situation, the doctor most likely will have it bring it to Frisbee. If it is something that's a severe life-threatening situation that Frisbee can't handle, they'll direct us to go directly to Portsmouth. Portsmouth has an excellent cardiac facility. So it's not uncommon for us to go to Portsmouth. Well, we had several cardiac calls in a row. We were continuing to try to transmit. After a lot of further research, we found out that the software in our unit is out of date. We then also found out that our unit is no longer supported by the company. On the first, I gave each you a packet. On the first page right there is a letter from Zoll explaining that the E-Series is no longer a supported unit, which means they no longer support the software or the hardware on the unit. We have not, as of yet, been able to find the software update necessary to update our current monitor to be able to transmit. So with that all being known, we started to do some research, and we had done a lot of research on these monitors to begin with, because when we originally came to the board to ask them to allow us to purchase the new ambulance, our hope at that time was to also be able to buy the monitor. We weren't sure if we were going to have the funds on top of purchasing the ambulance. So we did a lot of research but never brought it to the board. Now this came up, and so we went back and we revisited the situation. So there are only 2 companies that offer the equipment that we need as of now. That is Zoll, who we currently use, and Physio, who offers the Life Pack, which is their version of the Zoll monitor. We've had both of those companies come in and demonstrate their equipment to us, to the whole department. We've had a chance to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of both of them. And based on what I'm going to go through with you today, have decided that the correct move for us as a town and as a department is to stay with Zoll and go with the updated new X series. There's quite a few limiting factors to the other manufacturer, being Physio. One of the biggest ones that we've become aware of is the Physio is incapable of being used as an AED on a patient that's 8 years old or younger. 8. That's a major problem for us. That would mean if we decided to change brands and go with the Physio, we would then also have to carry an AED if we came across a child that needed it. And obviously that's just getting to be, that's one of the major problems. To be quite frank, the Physio is the more expensive unit anyway. I mean, this is truly a case, as I walk you through this, where the lowest bidder is actually the best piece of equipment. So we started looking at monitors and we priced them out, and originally we were just looking at replacing the monitors. Recently, unfortunately, we've had a couple of cardiac arrests where we had working codes in this town, and on one of them we had the ability to use, they've been out for a while, but the technology's kind of been perfected now. They have automated compression devices that'll actually perform the compressions for you on the patient. At one of our codes, Frisbee actually had a loaner version of the Physio one, so that's the company we don't want to go with, but they have a Lucas, and I'll explain again as we go. I'll explain why one's better than the other. But I will tell you that it was amazing how much easier it makes to manage. Working codes are very, very chaotic, as you can imagine. You know, we're trying to save someone's life. There's people doing compressions, there's people breathing, people doing this, and the biggest part of it is it's changing off people to do compressions. The reality of it is this: if you stop compressions for 10 seconds or more, you decrease the ability of that patient to survive by 40%. It's very difficult to do compressions when you're trying to get out of the house. You know, it's very difficult to do, because right now what happens is we put a patient on a backboard. Someone tries to do compressions while a bunch of us carry the backboard, and we try and work it around and get it out, and a lot of times that doesn't happen. When we got to see the Lucas go, it was nice because the compressions were continuously done. Now the Lucas is a piston-driven device that actually manually drives the chest up and down. That's what does your compressions for you. When we went back to Zoll to talk to them, the device that they sell is called the Auto-Pulse, and it works a bit different. I'm going to show you a video in a second so you can see how it works. It actually is a band that wraps around the chest, and it basically hugs the patient. It increases perfusion by 200%. And in studies done with the Auto-Pulse, as compared to doing manual CPR, it increased the success of saving the patient by 71%, because it's perfect CPR. It's perfect perfusion, perfect things. You don't have to stop. And maybe at this point we'll show I'm going to go ahead and just show you a quick video of the Auto-Pulse in motion so you kind of know what I'm talking about. So for the public that's watching and wants to go, these videos, both videos we're going to show today are found on YouTube. If you search for resuscitation on the move in YouTube, you will find this video.
Sudden cardiac arrest can happen to anyone, anytime, anywhere. Providing high-quality CPR is critical. Administering high-quality manual CPR while transporting patients to the hospital is not only nearly impossible, it can also put rescuers in danger. The 2015 AHA and EIC guidelines state the critical importance of limiting interruptions during CPR. Another problem poses the use of traditional spine boards in cramped areas like elevators, down the stairs, and around tight corners. Now, there's a solution. The new Auto-Pulse transportation system from Zoll. transport patients. You no longer need to carry an additional lengthy spine board, as the Auto-Pulse comes with its own specially designed carry sheet. This allows rescuers to perform continuous, high-quality CPR. Down the stairs, around tight corners, and even drop a patient's legs to fit in cramped elevators. With this new solution, it's been proven that the Auto-Pulse can reduce interruptions in CPR by over 85% when compared to manual CPR. The Auto-Pulse is the only automated CPR device proven to achieve this goal in a clinical study. Demonstrating its clear benefit to patients, the Auto-Pulse is the only automated CPR device proven to have the highest survival rate with patients in a large clinical trial. Do you have a device proven to do resuscitation on the move?
So that gives you an idea of how that works. You can see how much easier that makes the whole process. And that whole time they're getting, again, 200% perfusion, which is incredible. It also does not do, it tends not to do damage to the body, whereas the Lucas device, which is that driving piston device, tends to break ribs and is not as, it actually, the studies, and all the studies that I'm referencing, you have copies of all of them in that packet I gave you. I made copies for everyone so you can see all the data. But in studies, they found that the Lucas device doesn't, there's no difference really in survivability between manual CPR and using the Lucas. The Lucas tends to move the way it is, and it, you know, so now what we've learned from doing our research is when they use the Lucas device in hospitals, they have one person that's assigned to draw a black magic marker circle around the suction cup on the chest, and every time it moves, slide it back into the circle. Now the Lucas doesn't know, so the physio knows. The physio will know if it shouldn't be used. It'll actually break its band automatically, so it won't do damage to the person. The Lucas will just keep beating you to death, literally. So that one person has to sit there, and obviously you can imagine we're moving the patient and stuff. That happens. The device is going to be. So the reason that I bring up all these is so we went back. We started with the monitor. We started talking to our sales rep from Zoll, and I'll give you some. I have all the different prices broken out. So comparing monitor to monitor. To buy the new Zoll X series, just the monitor, brand new, is $32,000. The LifePak 15, which is the competitor, which is the physio, is $33,000. So it's about $1,000 more for the LifePak, which again, we didn't like the LifePak as much, and that's just the monitor. Another drawback if we went with the LifePak would be that the Frisbee is very much a Zoll hospital. And we would have to find a different way to transmit because they don't have the life receiver for LifePaks because predominantly, so it's around there. So then we got talking with our sales rep and we got talking to him about the automated CPR device with the Auto-Pulse after seeing the Lucas, and Zoll has the ability to do something that physio does not. Zoll has the ability to sell us refurbished or demo equipment. And by doing that, when they quoted us both the Auto-Pulse and the monitor together, it actually comes out to $31,693. So it's actually less money to get both pieces. It carries the exact same warranty of 1 year as the new. Basically what it is a salesman sample. So what the salesman brought us to the station the other day to look at would be what the equipment we received. So it gives us the ability to get a lot more equipment for the town for a lot less money. I did quote out both. So I also quoted out, I had LifePak quote me their Lucas and their LifePak 15. And I had Zoll quote us out the new version of the Auto-Pulse and of the X series monitor. And the LifePak with the Lucas is $45,327. The Zoll X and the Auto-Pulse new is $42,361.
Those are new products.
That's new on both. So what I tried to do for the board is get you apples to apples to start. And then I tried to do apples to apples for demo equipment. And In your packet behind the quotes is the email that I received from Physio explaining to me they do not do refurbished or demo equipment. His alternative to me was a lease, which obviously, and again, I go back to what I said earlier, this is a case where we actually we're gonna get the better equipment from the lowest bidder. Not always what happens. So that's where all the pricing comes out. So basically what we're coming up with here is, like I said, we are able to offer the town the best possible equipment for less money and add that. And again, that will increase the survival chances on a working code by about 71%. Obviously, time is of the essence, which is why we're looking to put this device on our ambulance, because if we have to wait for Frisbee to get there, we've lost a lot of time. I'll give you a good example. We had a call the other night that was a working code, and it was way out on South Shore. And when Frisbee put the address in their address and in their GPS, their travel time was 33 minutes. We just don't have that kind of time. We get there so much quicker than they do. We would have this right in the ambulance at that point. And you saw how nice it is too. No longer we're using the backboard, because that's what we do now. The beginning of that video is how we do it now on the backboard. But that device, where it has got that to me is the best part of the device. Never mind the CPRs, I can actually load the patient right on it. We can carry them out of there around corners and stuff like that.
While you're still performing CPR.
While sort of CPR is still being performed. So it would give us the best chance at survival on CPR. Spencer, you had a question?
I have 3 questions, but I wanted you to
Okay.
finish on.
And then real quick, I'll go through some of we'll talk about just monitors again real quick. I'll go through some of the differences. The Zolex series weighs about 9 pounds less than the Physio, so it's lighter, easier on us. It's actually quite a bit less than what we have now.
That's without a patient.
That's not the patient, right? The Zolex series can be used on children, whereas I just explained to you the Physio cannot be used on kids under 8, which is a huge problem for us. One of the things that we really like about the new X series is it actually has an efficiency meter for CPR. So there's a circle with 4 quarters on it, and each quarter represents one of the pieces of CPR. And when you're looking to have all those be green, so we'll know when we've got the best chance of survival. So the Physio doesn't do that. So it does an interruption timer. Again, I've already said that once you hit the 10-second mark, when they're not getting compressions, their chance of survival goes down 40%. So it has a timer, an interruption timer. It gives us the rebound. So how's the chest coming back up? Because a lot of that, we got to refill that heart to push the blood back through. The perfusion indicator and the depth of the compressions. The depth's very important as well. The X series shows us that in a visual on the screen, whereas the Physio does not even have that capability. One of the other really nice things about the X series is it has what they call see-through compression. See-through compressions, and what it means is that. So now what we do is we hook up the AED, we start our compressions. The AED will tell us it needs to analyze the patient for a rhythm to see if it should be shocked or not. It tells us to stop CPR. We wait, it analyzes. If shock's advised, we shock, we start CPR again. There goes your 10 seconds. With this monitor has the ability to tell the rhythm even though we're doing compressions. That's always been the problem. When you're doing compressions, you're creating a fake rhythm. But this monitor through data is able to look at it and analyze them. So what happens is now it'll say shock advised, we'll stop for literally a second, push the button, it'll shock him and right back to CPR again. One of the great things about the auto pulse is it connects directly to the monitor. And then the monitor connects to the auto pulse connects to the pads. It will actually time the shock with the compressions.
Never stop.
Never stop doing CPR. It actually times it. So again, it brings up that much more. There's a page in here also that compares our current monitor to what the new monitor would be, and all the new. Obviously, technology changes all the time. The technology's gotten so much better now. There's so much more with the new monitor coming in. So you gain a lot by going to the new monitor, other than being smaller and being more capable, and of course being able to transmit and do all that. So I've talked about the studies and the stuff like that. And we don't have to go in depth into that. I provided it to you to review if you wanted to review the data that I presented you. And Mr. Swenson, you have some questions?
Well, the other board members may also, I do have 3 questions, but, I'll start it off with 3 questions, which may or may not correlate with what the others have. One of them is a little tougher question for you, but it's just important, I think, for us to know. When did you first know the disconnect problem, if you will, of the transmission of information to the hospital?
3 weeks ago.
This is it? Okay. So you were able to get by with it until about 3 or 4 weeks ago?
Honestly, we had next cardiac calls. So our call cycle so much, we went from no cardiac calls for a year and a half, or since before I've been on the department, to we did 3 in a week.
Okay. So
And
that's the piece of.
Yes, and each one of the
You
3
didn't have any cause to test it or use it?
Correct. Now, just so you know, I do have once a year, Zoll comes in and they do a preventative maintenance on our monitor.
Right.
I will tell you that one of the disappointments that I have had is last year when they did my preventative maintenance on it, they never let me know what my software is out of date.
And they didn't do a test to see?
Apparently they did not, because they would have told us
So
that.
I'm assuming you will take care of that if you.
I'm already on that, yes, sir.
We test it weekly. It's a weekly test that you do.
Yeah, but it's not a test of transmission.
It doesn't.
That's
That's
what I'm
the
talking
one thing.
about.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we weren't able to know until we got our first cardiac call. We begun researching it at that
So
point.
I understand that part, but again, that's the corrective part that I would expect then is that you have on your routine systematic testing,
Yes.
whether it's monthly, quarterly, or yearly, I don't know, that's up to you, but you test, that you lead your transmission,
Yes.
to the end site.
Yeah, honestly, not knowing this was a problem before, that will probably that will get us now to do test transmissions on a fairly regular
So,
basis.
as a follow-up, if you would kind of let us know when you implement, and when,
Yeah,
assuming things
yeah.
move forward, let us know how you changed your operating procedures, testing, whatever it is, as a formal notification, so that we have on record in TA's office also, that corrective measure has been taken.
Sure.
The thing we'll have to check with is that if we're testing the transmission,
Right.
we have to have permission from Frisbee.
I understand that, that's why I'm saying, when you get.
Right, it'll take us a little bit of time to get that, but yes, sir, I will tell
Make
you
sure you
that.
have in writing that corrective measure in.
And I don't know at this point whether or not they'll do that. We'll have to see.
They've got to find a way to do it, I have no doubt that there's a way to do that.
I would assume that that's.
I would like to think that Zoll's got that Zoll has a server that I could test to.
Yeah, because now we're
That's important, but it's more important that you get it to where you're bringing it.
Correct.
So, I am convinced the hospitals that I'm familiar with find ways to accommodate those kinds of things. So,
Well, remember, they've got hundreds of ambulance services.
I understand.
Ambulance equipment.
but they-
So, we'll check in with those and find out for you.
And if they're not willing to do that, let us know, because we maybe have other channels.
Yeah, absolutely. No, yes, sir.
Okay.
So
Next.
just,
Sorry.
one question. There are other local fire departments that already have this equipment?
There is no one around us that has the Auto-Pulse.
Okay, so that would be part of what.
But they have the other.
They have this monitor.
Right.
Everyone, so there, I don't know, every department that I know of in this area uses the X series. I mean, the Zoll, whether it be the E series or the,
You know, there's two parts to this request.
No, that's true.
One's the monitor, which will allow the transmission of the data, and the other is an enhanced version of cardiac, CPR stuff, which I think has a lot of merit, but by the same token, there are two parts to this.
yeah, no, absolutely.
Next question for me is more of a training thing. How are you going to address the training part and for your people, and how many, and when's it done, and all that?
So we've already set up that if we go forward with this, Zoll will come in on our EMS training night, so all of our EMS providers will be there, and we'll do full training night on the Auto-Pulse, along with the new monitor, because there is
Right.
a lot of new features. So yes, that's already been committed to by Zoll, that if this process goes forward, that we will get all the training we need. They'll come in. I will tell you that it's a very short, very narrow learning curve. I've got to use it for about a half an hour at the firehouse, and I feel very confident that I could easily deploy this thing right now. And I mean, they understand that there's all levels of people using this tool, so they do make it fairly bulletproof. I mean, it errors out, it tells you what's wrong, it fixes, but
So would anybody that had CPR training be eligible for training on this? Is that how you work it, or?
Yes.
yes, anybody in our department has, I mean, if you're asking for other people outside of the.
No,
Yes,
I'm asking how you would.
No,
you would
everyone in
train
our,
and
so
who would
first of
be-
all, everybody in our department is certified in CPR. We require that even if you're just a firefighter, you're certified, because, for just that reason, at a working code, we need all hands on deck. So we maintain current CPR cards for all of us. every one of those will be trained on how the auto, if for nothing else, because they probably will be there helping us carry the patient or do whatever, or get them on it, and I want to make sure that anybody can do that. Again, I've already made it pretty clear how important speed is on this. So yes, no, that would absolutely be part of it.
So, the unit that you currently have, that technology is at least 17 years old, because I think the note said that.
It is correct. We've got,
2000.
unfortunately, we bought that monitor at the end of its cycle.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. Where in the technology cycle is this?
That's an excellent question, actually. This is the beginning of the X series. The X series has only been out for about a year or so. On average, they run them about 15 to 17. Obviously, there's going to be new models eventually, but this time we're at the beginning of the life cycle. So it's not like we're going to find out, well on, short on that they're not going to support it. And that's, yeah, because I thought of that too, because we're probably in the same boat again, and I can't keep doing this.
So what do you have an agreement as part of this that you have updates included? Or
Correct.
how does that work?
That is all included, and then also once a year they come and do the PM. Unfortunately, there were notices sent out to get this updated. It was a couple of years ago when we weren't on the department, and it wasn't Chief Varney on the department. So somehow those notices got by the wayside and did not get implemented. Because that's one of the questions that I had for Zoll, like, how could you let me expire? How could you let me not have? And it was explained to me that at the time, they sent out so many notices that some of the departments actually tried to do it twice because they thought they missed something and they went to do the update again. Apparently, the current administration over there at the time did not do anything with those for whatever reason.
So, how is that information sent out?
So it gets sent in email, it gets sent via mail as well. And then, I don't know if I don't know if the salesman would call us or not, but.
Now, I'm assuming at the fire department, you have a compliance schedule. Do you have a person that's in charge of equipment updates, compliance?
Yes, that would be me.
Okay, and is there a backup? Is there a record-keeping system?
Yes, it's all recorded in Firehouse software. It wasn't before I joined the department. I have now got everything that we do over there is scheduled and or recorded. So if you wanted to know when we had the pump tests done last on the trucks and what was done to them, I could print you that data at any time. Because I also was not just doing I do all the ladder testing, pump testing, maintenance on all the vehicles. All that is documented and scheduled and can be provided to anyone at any time. And what we do is I have a calendar that lets me know. So there are certain things that have to be done once a year, and one of them is the preventative maintenance on the Zoll. Actually, we're due for our preventative maintenance on our Zoll this month. Ladder testing has to be done once a year. Hose testing has to be done once a year. Pump testing has to be done once a year. SCBAs have to be done once a year. So yes, I have a schedule and a calendar that everybody else has access to. It's not just me. So if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, this program continues without me. But no, that's
a machine.
What's that?
You might need this machine.
Eventually, I might. But yeah. So yes, no, there is very strict because it's. So I'm a firm believer in maintenance anyway. But I really, and I shouldn't say we believe that the taxpayers of this town have been very generous to us in the fire department. We are a very well-equipped fire department for the size of our town. And because of that, we take it very serious to maintain that equipment that the taxpayers have provided to us. Let's face it, I mean, I can tell you that I haven't quite got the full inventory done next door, but it's almost done, and we're over $3 million worth of stuff in that building. And that counts trucks, but still, all the equipment, all this stuff. So we take that very seriously. And not to mention the fact, we trust our lives to that equipment, so we want to make sure that it's working right for that as well. So yes, there's a very strict compliance next door. And any time that anyone would like to come over, and I'd be happy to show anybody the systems and all that. I actually keep double books. I do Firehouse for the maintenance recording, and I also keep QuickBooks to track the budget. I can tell you every penny that was spent with everything out of every budget line at any time, how much money's left in our budget. And where it all went. I have all that recorded. So that.
Okay. Back on the.
Sorry.
Back on this question. First, excluding the notification letter about the update and all that from the current Zoll stuff. First 3 or 4 pages has a listing of the X series monitor, and then the auto pulse thing, which after, and then there's one subsequent one with the,
So the first two quotes there are the new quotes for both, that's right.
Right.
Okay.
and then there's a listing of the various cups and reusable sensors and all that, which totals 45. What you're saying is that 45 is based on using the demo piece and the all the agreements you've got with them. If you went ahead, it would be 31,693.
Correct.
Everything's all in this listing.
Everything that comes with it, and the same warranty.
So, but, you know, okay.
So the one that brings, so Physio, the one that has all the different pieces listed is the Physio one, the Life Pack one, we don't wanna go with
That's
this.
okay.
Because Physio is a very big, you buy everything separate company.
Okay.
If you look at it, you know, you spend $26,000 for their monitor, and then if you wanna be able to plug.
42 versus the 45.
Yeah, but if you wanna plug it in and charge it, it's $1,800 for the cord and the charger.
Okay.
It doesn't come with it, so that's why that's,
But
but
this
yes,
one is, but the 42 going down to
correct.
31.
The 42 to 31 is apples to apples,
Has all the
everything.
ancillary,
Yes.
ancillary equipment that you need for.
It's 100% the same quote, just using the.
Last question I have, not the last, but the current question I have then is, if you look at source of funding, and that is, you know, we have a CRF.
So, yes, sir, I have actually, and I have included in the last page in your book is actually where I went down. So I had Arena pull me the current ambulance fund balance, which was $195,438 as of May 20th. The balance, I then called P&L Customs and got what the final payment will be for the new ambulance, which is $159,415 as of.
36,000 difference.
So yeah, I got about $36,000 left. We're looking to spend about $31,600. That would still leave about $4,300 in the account. So we could 100% fund this out of the current ambulance fund, which is.
And the description of the ambulance fund would include ancillary equipment like this, as
So
part of its use?
Yes, sir. So as part of the ambulance fund, it was, the warrant article was updated several years ago so that any medical equipment purchases exceeding $10,000 may come from that fund. It doesn't just have to be.
And I also asked you to take a look if any other funds were potentially available to look at.
Yeah, if there was any shortcoming that may come from that, because this does include, if I remember right, when Neil and I talked on Friday, this does include the trade piece in there, if I remember right, Neil.
That is correct. So that 190, that final payment of $159,415 to PL assumes that we give them our old ambulance in trade.
Well, that was a $3,500 equivalent, if I recall.
Correct. So the difference being, if we sold it outright, that money would go to general funds and not back into the ambulance fund, whereas if we take it in on the trade, it goes back into that ambulance fund. So in theory, it would be close, but even if we didn't do that trade, we'd still have enough money
So you
to,
could have anywhere from $800 to $4,300.
depend, right? And again, that was May 20, depends on the billings, and that fund always goes up, but yes,
So how old is this particular unit?
10 years.
No,
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 8
no,
years.
no.
The one that you're looking to buy.
Oh, the new one?
The demo one.
6 months.
Okay.
We've actually used it. So what happens is every 6 months or so, they cycle out their equipment. What is going on right now is they're about sales like any other company. So they're coming to an end of a quarter, they're looking to boost their sales. They offer, all the demo equipment in the country is all listed on a sheet for these sales guys. So in other words, if a guy in California tomorrow got a sale from the city of Los Angeles for 15 demo units, that would wipe out everybody. Hence why the sales rep has explained to us that kind of June 30th is where this would expire at this point because they may not have the equipment to provide us with. So a couple of things that I'd like to ask of the board today. First of all, I know our town policy is to place things of over $10,000 out to bid.
We've got 2 bids, basically.
And there are only 2. There's nowhere else we can go. I can't go, if we place this tomorrow, we'd get the same 2 bids. So one of the things I would like to ask the board is if they decide to approve this is to also to take a vote to override that
We have
requirement.
2 bids.
Okay. Okay. I'll just make
You
sure.
didn't hear me the first time.
No, I did. I just.
You didn't catch what I was saying?
Okay, so yes, so I've got my 2 bids, and then I would like to ask the board to make a decision as soon as possible so that we could get this.
The offer here is for a 30-day pricing or what?
He's given us to the end of June.
Okay.
And the only,
I'm not saying we're gonna take that.
right, no, and the only reason that, 2 reasons, he feels that all that equipment will sell by the end of June because they're all on a sales push, and obviously
Yeah.
sooner the better, because there is a chance that they could sell all of this and then this equipment won't be available to us.
That deal's pending the availability.
Yeah, I understand. Not sure I got a complete answer yet on the other CRFs.
So if, as I had started, if in fact there is a shortfall, I talked with Chief Varney relative to the ancillary,
Right.
the
That's the one that I-
ancillary fund, which was for, smaller portable equipment type of thing for the fire department.
Which
You
this
know,
fits,
new-
at least the auto parts, all the auto pulse stuff fits in that description, I think.
Potentially, I don't think it would be I don't think it'd be a hair splitting thing the way the chief and I spoke, because if in fact it was, in other words, a shortage, that those monies could in fact come over to fill that shortfall for that. It is a portable equipment device, and I think as I read that, it talks about small portable equipment or not per se trucks and vehicles and
That's
that
what was excluded.
might say that. So we did talk about that on Friday. And just as another note, the fire department did invite me over with their staff here over to see the demonstration. And I'd seen some YouTube stuff, or actually, I think it was actually a segment on 2020 or one of the television shows. I'm sold.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just,
Well, first of all, for me, there's, and just me speaking here, not the whole board yet, for me, there's no question on the monitor. To not be able to communicate with the hospital, that kind of data would be.
Yeah, today's day and age.
I think would be remiss on our part if we didn't try to do something with that, so that's not an issue. I also see a lot of advantages on the auto pulse thing too, but what I'm looking at, and why I asked for another fund, is that, I mean, I can understand, I was gonna ask if there's a split between the auto pulse cost and the other. I know you have a lump sum of 31 cents.
I do, actually.
Yeah, just,
Okay.
I mean, what I was thinking of, just for purposes of discussion currently with the board, is to say, the ambulance fund, the monitor makes a lot of sense, because it kind of goes with the ambulance, and then the ancillary equipment go for the auto pulse. That doesn't really drive the ambulance fund this year. Doesn't leave a whole lot either necessarily, but it doesn't really drive. And secondly, the ancillary CRF was made for some things like this, in my opinion, so it fits from that description. So just FYI.
Yeah, Dave, let me explain. The ambulance fund does generate enough income. Out of that ambulance fund over the past 10 years that we've owned the present ambulance, we took money out for the defib we have now, which was, I think, was around 36,000.
That was what, about 5 or 6 years ago?
8, 7
Yeah,
years ago,
it was
something like
about
that. And then, I mean, we've also drawn out of that during this life cycle of this truck, and we still have enough to upgrade everything in there. So it does look like we're really pulling that down, but I think we're gonna make it a long time.
Well, that's one of the things that we said, I think, when we were doing the ambulance review back in February, January it was, saying, make sure that you look at what your costs are, over a period of your average runs, how much you're charging, what our revenue is, to make sure that, 10 years, 15 years from now, whatever the lifetime of the ambulance is, that there is a sufficient buildup in that fund to replace.
Because the new striker we bought out of that, which was
But
another.
again,
So one of the aces up our
just
sleeve.
quickly for you, now's the time for you, what was the split between?
So the monitor itself in the demo version is about $26,000.
Okay, and then
The balance would be the auto pulse.
6,000 roughly.
Yeah.
Roughly.
And I see it's about a $11,000 unit,
Yeah.
the auto pulse from the pricing.
Yeah, the demo version of the auto pulse is 6,500. If we bought it new, it's about 8,500. Then there's batteries and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
I think the total was almost 11,000.
So the package that we're
Well,
looking
the other was
at,
about 25.7 or something.
yeah, the package that we're looking at would have 3 batteries for the auto pulse. So we would effectively be able to run that for 18 hours straight if we had to. We would never do that, but I'm just saying, making sure that we have redundancy of having extra batteries. And so there would always be 2 batteries in the charger, and then a 3rd battery for the auto pulse. We would have that ability. That was the other nice thing about the auto pulse. It'll run on its batteries for about 6 hours, whereas the Lucas runs for about 3. And I can attest to that because we ran that Lucas out the night we used it.
So, not to go back, but one of the concerns was the lapse in service from Zoll. And just wanted to make sure that where we're going to be possibly making a significant purchase, that they understand that came in.
Yes, again, some of it's not their fault, but some of it is. I hold them responsible for not having, when their guy came last year and spent an hour with our unit going through it and supposedly certifying that it was in great shape, how we were not informed that that couldn't transmit is beyond me. And I have expressed those concerns to Zoll very firmly, because I'm pretty angry about it, to be honest with you, because we just didn't know. I mean, now again, hard lesson learned. As you now asked us, now I know that, I will be figuring out a way to test that monitor at least monthly to know that it's transmitting, because finding that out at a cardiac call is just not when you want to find that out. I agree with you 100%. You know, unfortunately, I don't know who the chief was at the time when all that stuff was coming through, but that stuff never should have been ignored. You know, Kevin as the assistant chief is also the medical guy, so there's redundancy to that as well. Kevin keeps track of all the medical stuff in the Zoll, and we also have redundancies in place for there's 3 or 4 of us that get the emails now on any kind of an update or anything like that, or anything that goes on, so that it can be enacted upon.
Okay, any other questions?
The questions I had have all been brought up, but what I did want to say was, given it was 3 weeks, that 3 weeks ago you discovered this, and what you've presented today and what you've all put together, I'm pretty impressed that you're able to get so much information so quickly and make this kind of a recommendation and make a deal.
I'll be taking volunteers to come help me do firework that I'm behind on now.
Yeah, very nice presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, and especially looking for the demo deal. Nice job.
Yeah, it was, I appreciate that. I mean, a lot of us everybody in the room had stuff to do with this, and everybody in the room had part of that, and Mike did a lot of the legwork with Zoll. It was really nice. We're fortunate that we have a good Zoll rep that.
Well, yeah, the delivery on this, I'm assuming, would be fairly quick.
It'd be pretty immediate.
And then you'd use it on your current loaner ambulance, if you will.
Correct.
And
So
training and all that stuff, right?
Yes, it would immediately go into play. Once the board decides, we place the order. Within a couple of days, we'd have the equipment.
Right.
We'd get the training done on it before we put it on the ambulance,
Right.
and then we'd get that done.
Now, the issue, you know, this was not a budgeted expense per se on the CRFs, so because of I'm certainly think there could be a case made that, as you've indicated, time of the essence for the monitor side, would be an unanticipated emergency, if you will, because you got to have communication with cardiac issues in the hospital. The other one, I'm not sure we can make the same case, but because I would do it as a whole, I think we might be able to. But what's your thoughts, Scott?
Well, you are the agents to expend on any
right.
CRF and ETF, and including on the ambulance fund.
Right.
I think due diligence has been done by the fire department as far as the
Right.
vetting of it and making a recommendation to the board. So for you to actually go ahead and enact that based upon their recommendation, I think certainly fits the criteria that is.
Yeah,
was
and
laid out.
you know, I'd be willing to form the motion here shortly, but I would like to see as part of the motion, the comment that I made was that it is an emergency situation, so if anybody had a question on, you know, that wasn't budgeted, so what, but
Right.
to not be able to communicate with the hospital for me is.
Well, I think that's the other piece that comes into this too, is that I think the voters, by what they've actually done with your CRFs and the construction of them, did that for these type of purposes. And I don't think it's not like they want to change and put, you know, fancy tires or something, or rims or something on a piece of equipment. It's about a life-saving tool. The other piece that I would ask that you probably do as a recommendation in your motion is that based on the purchasing criteria of our purchasing policy, it does say that anything over $15,000 needs to go to public and bid. And although I feel very strongly that in this situation, you have in fact done that. There is only 2 providers. You would have done, if you would put an ad in the newspaper, which would have actually wouldn't have helped any of this situation out, that the work has actually been done in order to achieve what you need for information. But I think in order to comport with your policy, that you would say that based upon the conditions that were set forth, that this is a way.
There have been 2 bids that have been received.
Correct.
Because
I mean, this
of
is.
its emergency nature, a full RFP was not developed.
Right. And they did a very good job talking with Neil. He's been very good in communication all the way up through, and as far as how they, he and I talked, and I said it's very critical that when you do a comparison on new units, because he found out that they didn't have a demo unit, that it is, apples for apples type of application. They did a great job. I thought that, they were able to put that criteria together and make sure they were matching things up.
What's the board's thought on this?
So I just want to make one comment. I'd like to note that if we were just going out for that monitoring piece and we're looking at a new piece, it would be more than the 2 pieces as a demo. So that we identified a need, went and found what the cost is, got bids, and then were able to make a deal for that unit with an additional piece at below the cost of brand new monitor, I think was wonderful.
Thank you.
So what's the board's thoughts on the split part of it? I actually favor the split, but that's my opinion.
I
What's
favor
the thought of the
it.
split, just kind of.
You mean the financing of the
Yeah,
split?
Have the water pump, if we want to move ahead with both parts here, have the auto pulse come out of the ancillary CRF and the monitor piece come out of the ambulance CRF?
I think I would tend to agree with you, just in case that there's an expenditure coming up in the future for the ambulance that I wouldn't want to empty that fund when there may be a need for it.
Can I I would not support separating it because I think that the way that the fund was set up was in fact to support the ambulance based upon the billing portion of it. So I would only look towards that ancillary fund if in fact you had a shortfall. And then I'll be perfectly honest with you, if in fact the ambulance fund recouped itself, then I would almost look to replenish that ancillary fund, because I think you don't want to do it too much mixing in that situation. I feel, somewhat confident that if in fact there is any short, I think you'll be able to, by the time the new ambulance comes.
I differ with you, Scott. And the reason I differ is that we haven't got delivery yet of the ambulance, and there may be another issue that we don't know about that they discover. And if we had possibly, because of the definition of the CRF, to be able to come out of the ambulance, but it doesn't fit the definition of the ancillary, then we have a problem. So I actually differ with you on that. So if somebody's just going to say something.
No, I was gonna say that with the new truck coming in, everything on that's, we put new stretchers on it, power stretchers, all that's new. I don't see a problem with that ambulance like we have the old one. We're gonna spend a lot of money up front for the next couple of years. We should be all right for the next 5 years.
Well, the warranties on a new ambulance, yeah, there won't be.
I can't see anything
And
expensive.
just
Some
so-
knock on wood, you never know what happens, but.
Just so the board's aware, one of the things that we positioned ourselves for in regards to the ambulance going forward is because of the quality of the piece of equipment we bought overall in the ambulance, we have the ability in 10 years, rather than going out and buying an entire new ambulance, to now have the box, the back piece of it, put onto a new chassis. They'll repaint the box and do whatever repairs we need to it to match the new chassis at a cost of about $100,000 as opposed to the 200 and some odd thousand we had to buy this entire ambulance. So we should be able to get 20 years out of the box, 10 years out of the chassis, or give or take, depending on what it is, but it's gonna save us quite a bit of money on the next go around. And so just so we're aware that actually that it's gonna cost us much less to replace the ambulance next time. Not that I even wanna think about that right now, we haven't got the new one yet, but.
So I think what Swen's concern is, and mine, is that within the next 6 months, that the ambulance company comes back to us and says, look, we think that there's a $12,000 piece that you really wanna consider adding on, and we're not gonna have the funds for it.
Or you have another item like the monitor that you don't know about. So, I'm not saying you should look for it, I'm just saying
Yep.
that I don't think you wanna drain it dry. And it's not that it's, you know, either $800 or $4,000 is necessarily fully dry, but it's certainly.
Can we replenish it? Can we move money back over there if we, I mean,
No.
Well, that'll be up to the board. So for the mere fact is that they have the right to withdraw from that. So for an example, say everything works out all right and after sometime next year, I'm just gonna use this as a, they decide, listen, you know, things are going well, marketing plan works well, we're gonna put that money back over there so that we have true representation relative to the ambulance. As you and I have talked, Chief, is that focus point is to try to get as much sustainability as we can to, you know, billing versus operation, and trying to do some of that offset even for some of the operational side of things down the road. Looking at that as a, you know, kind of a business component to it.
my concern is with that account is that in 2020, our air packs all have to be replaced. And that was basically what that was set up to, in anticipation of that.
Well, yeah, but we have, I think, $36,000 or $38,000 in there, if I remember.
Yeah. But
It's gonna be about $170,000 to replace our air packs in 20. So, not to get off on that whole thing, but real quick, we found out recently that our air packs will expire. They have to be replaced 2020, we don't have a choice.
This is the SCBA's?
Yes, they just, I mean, in the reality of it is they're getting old as it is, but we will not have a choice in 2020, so we're gonna, now, the hope is we're hoping to get a grant.
we'll apply for grants.
I mean, and we have a good chance of getting a grant, but we just need to know that in 2020, we're gonna have to come up with somewhere around.
We should make sure the CIP is aware of this.
And that's from the ancillary fund.
Yes.
That's kind of where that money's been going, isn't it?
But make sure CIP is aware of that when they come through in the next few weeks. It's about 2 weeks, about 2 weeks.
20
away.
There's probably not gonna be any 100% grants out there left, but there'll be matching
Matching
grants, so
grants.
we'll have to, you know, we'll have to have some money in that account.
But under the scenario that we're looking at potentially, based on the numbers that I understood, we have about 25.2 coming out of the ambulance fund and about 6,500 would come out of the ancillary fund. So it'd still be 32,000 or so left, 32,000 left.
Well, that's why I asked if it would be possible, if we don't have an incident and we have surplus money in the ambulance account, plus it goes in the ambulance account, we may not be able to move it over to auxiliary unless we, that would be my only concern, is somehow be able to find out.
Couldn't that happen at town meeting?
Yeah.
Well, it's happened in the budget process.
Yeah, during town meeting.
Yeah,
We can do that.
yeah.
Yeah.
That became an issue.
Well, I have a tendency to support Scott's opinion, but that said, I'm going to endorse whatever we need to do so that we have a universal vote.
So after listening to that about the air packs and understanding that that's really what that ancillary fund was set up for, I think I would rather take most of the funds all of the funds out of ambulance. If we have another piece that goes in the next 6 months, I would assume it's gonna have to come out of ancillary anyway.
I can tell you,
It
obviously,
may not be able to,
is what,
that's the point.
so I can tell you, and not that I can know everything, but this is the real, we don't have anything that's really expensive left like this. We've already covered the stretcher, we've covered the stair chair, we've covered now the monitor, we've obviously covered the ambulance. The rest of the equipment that's in that ambulance is all $2,000 less. There's nothing else in that ambulance that has this kind of a price tag to it. This is where the real expense comes from. So anything that we should run into now for the rest of the year as far as that goes should be able to be handled from our regular budget, what I'm saying at this point. I don't have ESPN, so I can't tell you, what's gonna happen. But as far as the ambulance goes, I've pretty much covered,
I think you have ESPN, but maybe not ESPN.
I'm very confident as being the gentleman that handles all the equipment over
Just to
there.
let you know we were listening.
I appreciate that.
The department's talked about this, and I think between all of us, we think we're gonna be okay. None of us like cutting it down that low, but because the ambulance is a big expense, and everything in it, and pretty much this solves the problem for the ambulance for the next 5 years that we can see. Short of it getting an accident or something.
Oh my God.
Knock on wood.
If they're gonna do that, do it on the
That's why they
lower.
call insurance.
That's right. So, I mean, we're comfortable draining it down that wall right now. I mean, I can see Swen's point about, well, or if something comes up, but really, there's nothing, I don't know if we add anything else to this ambulance. I mean, it's coming through with just about everything on it replaced. I mean, that was the whole point about doing it this way, so that we didn't have to piecemeal it over the next 5 years to get what we needed.
What I would like, again, I still favor the idea that I created, but
Yes.
it's not a, you know, it's not a barrier such that would cause a different opinion on the whole thing, certainly. But what I would definitely formally ask is that you do provide a formal business case on your replenishment for the ambulance. We asked for that in January, but, and I haven't seen anything yet, but look at it, and project out.
I'll be honest, I didn't remember that you'd asked for that. I will take, that wouldn't take me that long to figure out.
No, I figured that, you know, just make sure it's a solid business case based on
Yeah.
last 3 to 5 year use and
Yep.
project out. Blah,
Yes,
blah,
sir.
blah, blah. If you need some help, you know.
Okay.
And also, Tia talked about rate changes.
I'm sorry.
We're talking about rate changes for transport.
And that's why, that's the whole purpose of this, is
Yeah.
to say,
So that's gonna change his numbers.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I'll
that's the whole purpose of
Right,
this.
okay, so I'll get to a business
Current,
plan.
you know,
Yes.
You do what I would call price sensitivity.
Yep.
In this case, under current rates and projected historical, you know, based on historical trends, blah, 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 here's where it'd be, you get X dollars. If we increase 10%, or 2%, or whatever it is that you, what is your price
Yeah, that's-
sensitivity ratio?
Just,
Ah.
yeah, just so you know,
You have to do a cost sensitivity too, your, you know, wages and all that stuff.
we're transporting our patients at half the cost of both towns on either side of us.
I have heard that.
So, I mean.
And I don't have a problem with that as long as we're, you know, revenue neutral. What I mean by that, as long as we're able to show that we can,
Yeah,
in fact, I like being able to give our taxpayers a break.
absolutely,
But,
yeah.
well, they've got to be fair.
Yeah,
It's got to be
and
fair.
we've talked about that because we have, I think the TA and I are in the same mindset there, is that, I would be okay with raising that, but we'd have to change, we may have to change some of the collection policies in order to, you know, be able to do that, to make it fair for
But
them.
again, that's the whole purpose for doing this, is to say, you know, we project over the next 5, 10, 15 years that we have revenues of X, net revenues of Y, and we have anticipated ambulance cost of Z, so that,
How,
yay, it's
how
okay, or
far,
no, we have to do something.
how many years are you comfortable be averaging, using for an average? 5 years?
For the historical part?
Yeah.
I look at 3 to 5.
Okay, I'll do 5. I'll go back 5 and just kind of use 5 as the average, and then I'll average it out, project it out going forward.
Look at the master plan's demographics, look at Stratford Regional Planning Commission's demographics. You'll see population trends there, you'll see stuff like that, you can factor into your assumptions, et cetera. Again, if you need some help.
Yeah,
I'll be happy to help somebody, I'm sure other people will be happy to help.
Yeah, no problem, I appreciate the offer.
All right, I'm ready to pop a motion here. I sense a consensus is more under the single fund. I don't favor that, but I'm not gonna vote against it because of that, obviously, but,
Well, based on the recommendation of fire department personnel who've done the research, understand what needs they have, and the town administrator, I would definitely vote for the single source.
all right, I'll make a motion here. Again, we may editorialize the motion as we go here, but just to make sure we kind of understand it here. So I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of both the monitor and auto pulse equipment from Zoll, recognizing that the RFP policy calls for a formal bidding process, but also the time is of the essence, and the fire department already has obtained 2 bids, and they would likely be the only 2 bids from companies supplying this type of equipment anyway, that we approve an amount of $31,693 for the purchase of those 2 items from Zoll to come out of the CRF ambulance fund. I think that covers most of what we talked about, right? Yep. So that's the motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? It carried 3 to nothing. Okay, one of the things I should have said in my motion, I don't think you normally have to do it, but it is effective immediately, so you should have approval now to move forward.
Yeah, I will, I'll call him when we get out of here and get that process started. I will need a signature from the board at some point, just to say that it's, you know,
Yeah,
to
you'll
approve,
have
but
that.
I can get the motion going without the, I'll get you a final invoice for you
Yeah.
to sign, and I'll bring a PO with it.
Yeah. What I would suggest also, that you work with Scott to develop a press release when you get it in and trained, and we would put that to make surrounding communities aware that we have some unique equipment that.
The other thing that we are planning, and we hope that you will attend, is that once the new ambulance does come in, we're gonna have an open house for not just, we're gonna invite all the surrounding departments around, but also all the townspeople. We'd like for them to realize the level of care that they have, because the reality of it is, in a small town of New Durham, New Hampshire, we now will be providing care at the level of the top 10% of everybody in the country. That's pretty awesome. I mean,
Again, on your press release, work with Scott.
Yep.
Make sure it's, done through the town resources and all that stuff.
And I want to thank the board.
You're welcome.
You realize that we took narcotics off the truck a year ago and replaced it with nitrous oxide.
Right.
Ahead of everybody else. We're gonna have this all pulse ahead of everybody else. I think New Durham Ambulance, and you as a board should be proud of your ambulance service, that they're right up there with with the top 10 agencies in the state of New Hampshire.
Good.
I would also like to get WCTV now to do some filming of that, because it would be nice to have that available on public access.
Sure. We'll let you know when
I'd be
the,
happy to do that.
we'll let you know, maybe we can have them come tonight and do the training.
Yep.
That way they can be there to see everybody getting trained on it and see it in
You
use. and-
doing anything of this type of stuff with the Durham days on July?
29.
Is that what it is? We could certainly open it up for that. We'll
Well, I
have-
don't know, it's just something to think about. It's up to you guys where you want to do it.
You know, yeah, no, I mean, we would be certainly open to have it available to demonstrate for any of the towns members that want to come in if we want to get that, absolutely. I mean, we're proud of what we offer, and we're proud that we're able to give what we can to the town, so.
Okay?
I really like the idea of inviting people to come in and see.
I think they should see what they're getting.
Absolutely.
I think they should know. I mean, and I like, so, I'm big on inviting the public in. I always invite, so we're there on, Saturdays from 9 to noon, and I'm constantly having people bring their kids in and let them play and see the fire trucks and stuff like that. I mean, we're very proud of what this town has provided us with equipment, so we like to show it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, board.
Thank you.
I have a 10:30. Let me see if I can have,
Board will take a short recess.
sorry, I had set up a meeting with the meeting house committee at 10:30, so I'm just going to give it a little bit.
11:39.
Okay. I do have to go to the real job.
You don't allow that.
And I have to go visit my mom.
Okay.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much. You got my message, Kathy.
No, I didn't. I saw her here, so I sent it. No, I didn't get that.
Yeah, that was in that little update that I sent.
Go into non-public and then.
No.
Yeah.
We got it for, I didn't know if you had it non-public or not, but we're gonna have to go to non-public for another thing anyway.
Nice. I know, a few weeks ago,
And you are on, yeah, it's just.
I can ask you something. It's sort of, yeah, thanks. It's not really a secret.
We can, you didn't turn the camera off, did you?
Not yet.
That's okay. Okay.
All right, Donna is taking care of that.
Any other public business?
Kathy, could I ask you to start putting me on the distribution list for any Goody House meetings?
We meet tomorrow, 5 o'clock here.
Okay.
Okay? All set? No other public business? Hearing none, I will make a motion to go into non-public. The RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2A, dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee, or the disciplining of such employee, etc. RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2D as in dog, consideration of the acquisition, sale, or lease of real or personal property, etc. And I think 91A:3, Roman numeral 2C, matters which if discussed in public would likely affect adversely the reputation